Yeah. What is up, guys? And welcome to Big Kid with Will Bryant, the show where I do stuff and say things. I'm your host. I'm Will Bryant. And before we get down to the nitty-gritty, let's get the boring stuff out of the way. If you're listening to this, thank you. Appreciate you. However, I would thank you more and appreciate you even more if you left a review, subscribed, all that good stuff. It actually helps the podcast out. The more subscriptions I get, the more my downloads go up, the more reviews I get. It actually helps in terms of like searching and all those annoying Black Mirror type algorithms that are holding me down right now. Help me rise up. Drinking some coffee right now. Because this is the earliest I've ever recorded a podcast. It's 7:51 in the morning on a Saturday. A little bit late here. Still not done with the boring stuff. If you're watching this on YouTube, thank you and I appreciate you. If you're listening, remember you can see this as well. Video content goes up on my page, youtube.com. Search for I'm Will Bryant. And be sure to subscribe on that as well. Like my videos, it helps. All that little stuff helps, believe it or not. And if it doesn't help the algorithm, it helps my soul feel more liked by you guys. Please like me. Please let me know that you like me. Tell me I'm good. Tell me I'm good. Anyways, it's easy. Same name on all platforms at I'm Will Bryant. That's 3 words. I'm Will Bryant, Bryant, like Kobe. You can follow me on Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, Twitch, Spotify, and now even Threads. That app that was crazy a week ago and now nobody gives a fuck about today. But I'm still there. Now that we got that out of the way, I did mention it's Saturday. Usually I try to record these in the middle of the week on like a Tuesday is like really early for me to record it, but usually Wednesdays lately has been like if I recorded on Thursday, because ever since I switched up the job, I tried to get these out on Wednesdays. They've been coming out on Thursdays now more consistently. But if you realize, I've never actually said what day of the week I plan to put this podcast out. It's not because I like to be all ambiguous and mystery and mysterified and all that stuff. No. I'm not really mysterious like that. It's because I know myself. And if I tell you that Big Kid with Will Bryant will drop every Wednesday, then you know what's going to happen the very next week? Something is going to keep me from dropping that episode on a Wednesday. I don't know what. The podcast gods are just going to curse me. I'm so used to the fantasy gods cursing me, and I got fantasy football on my mind because the season is upon us, my friends. But this is not about that. Not right now. It will be soon, actually. Heads up to all my league mates out there. The fantasy football podcast will come back. However, it is going to be a completely separate podcast from Big Kid with Will Bryant. Your boy is going to be doing 2 things at a time, 2 things a week come football season. It will come back, but that'll be our own little thing. Our own little thing. You know how there are places that are members only clubs? Well, this is going to be league members only, all right? I say that, but anyone's going to be able to listen if they want. Who gives a damn? Now, why am I recording at 7:50 in the morning on a Saturday and not on a Wednesday or a Thursday? You know? I'll tell you why. See, I was about to sit down and record this podcast on Wednesday. It was going to be right on schedule. No problem. I was going to come. I literally had everything set up and was just going to press record. And I got a call from my girlfriend, Val, who had just left the apartment to go walk to the train to head to work. And I missed a bunch of texts and calls from her because I was in the shower. And I have to focus in the shower to get this clean, you know. she calls me and I'm like, uh-oh. So she tells me that on the way to work, she sees this like dude, I don't know, just kind of crouching over and taking a picture of something like on the floor. And then he kind of just like smirks and shakes his head and keeps on walking. And Val gets up to whatever it was that this guy was taking a picture of and realizes it's a freaking turtle. It was a little turtle abandoned on a Bushwick sidewalk in a tank full of dirty water and nothing else. No no filter for the water, no accessories or like little toys to put in the tank. Just some like cut up, ugly looking crab meat, I think. I don't know. And a turtle. And she called me and I got out of the shower and just put on whatever. And I met her like halfway and I carried the rest of the way this tank with a turtle. And suddenly we now own a turtle. You might hear him actually. See, for you guys watching me on YouTube, you'll notice there's no toys here to my right. I've been doing some remodeling. I've been putting up some shelves and moving some toys around, and it just so happened that I cleared up this area right here to my right the day before we needed some space for a brand new tank. You hear that? I don't know if you can hear that, but that's the little guy right now. Come here, buddy. All right. That's him saying hi. He doesn't sound happy. Everybody say hi to Forky. All right, buddy, you can go back. You might be wondering why Forky? Well, for anybody out there that's watched, I believe it's Toy Story 4. There's a new character in that movie named Forky. And Forky is quite literally a plastic fork. I thought he was like a spork, like one of those spoon/fork things. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. But he was just a plastic utensil that the little girl in the movie that got the toys at the end of Toy Story 3, she creates like this art and crafts project. It's literally just a plastic spork, I'm going to say, or fork, whatever, with like the little googly eyes that you can stick on anything, and like a random mouth, I think made out of, what's that, like furry pipe cleaner? Is that what they call it? I don't know. And I forget what else, but she made like a little toy out of a plastic fork. And of course, when she exits the room, all the toys come to life, and for the first time, this plastic spoon comes to life, and he's looking at it, comes to life. So this plastic spoon comes to life, and he starts looking at himself, and he's like, "What the hell?" And he realizes that he's been made out of garbage or trash, and he has this like crisis about this identity crisis, because even though he is now a toy, he believes in his whatever a toy has. He believes in his heart, in his soul, whatever, that he's not a toy, that he's just trash. And so throughout the movie, Forky, who I believe was dubbed that by the girl, Forky repeatedly tries to throw himself into trash, whether it be like a trash can or a dumpster, or just at one point he even just tries to throw himself out the car window. It does, actually. Every step of the way, Woody's trying to stop him from making himself trash, and he's trying to convince him, like, you're not trash, you're a toy. And the fact that this little guy was thrown out and placed next to the trash, like he was next to trash bags, So this little guy was thrown out like trash, but we brought him home, and it's on us to let him know that he's not trash. That little guy is going to be loved and cared for, and he's now a part of our family. We've got the 2 kitties inside. I take care of about 5 cats that live in my backyard. And, we didn't plan on getting a turtle this week, but here he is. He's co-hosting with me on this Saturday morning episode 24 of Big Kid with Will Bryant. And that's kind of the story of our new little dude, Forky. Kind of apropos because, I'm a huge Ninja Turtles fan, and I'm getting pretty excited about that Ninja Turtles movie that's coming out this summer, August 2nd or 4th. And, of course, I've already looked into which toys I want to buy. And I've kind of had turtles on the mind. I even, thought about what it would be like if we had a turtle, but never seriously thought about it because I was like, whatever. I don't really have, this affinity towards turtles, but I have an affinity towards animals in general, especially when they have a backstory like this little dude. We found them in the trash, and little by little, we'll make sure he knows he's not. We've only had him for 2 days, and I know if you see the tank to my right here, it looks very empty. I know, trust me. It should be arriving today. We ordered a bunch of things on Amazon that should be arriving today. We've got a filter. Definitely got him some food. One of those islands or whatever that the turtle can crawl out of if he wants to just chill out of the water for a while. Not sure. I'm not sure what else we got him, but there's a couple things arriving. So next week when you see me and Forky back here for episode 25, he should have some more furnishing going on in his new abode, But yeah, our little zoo's growing little by little. I know Jay has had a turtle or has a turtle. I feel like they're probably not that hard to take care of, but what do I know? If anybody out there has any turtle tips, turtle advice, or whatever, throw it my way, because I really have no idea. I heard that this is a red something turtle. I don't know, because he has red on the side of his head. Actually, I don't know if it's a dude or a chick. I'm misgendering my turtle. And I heard that Forky is going to get pretty big. That he looks like he might be just 1 year old, and that they can grow a lot bigger. I've seen Jay and Kat's turtle. That motherfucker is big. So if that's the same kind of turtle that we have, then damn it, I'm going to need a bigger tank. Well, I didn't choose this life. This life chose me. I must take care of these animals. So yeah, that's why I didn't record on Wednesday. Was it Wednesday or Thursday? I'm trying to remember if I was trying to record. Yeah, I think it was actually Thursday morning. I was going to record Thursday morning / afternoon. Yeah, that's what it was. And then go to work. But instead, we got a turtle, and we kind of just went into action because the tank was dirty. The water was dirty. We didn't know what to do really. So we immediately put the turtle in the shower, not in our bathtub, while I emptied out that dirty water and cleaned the tank and filled it up with clean water. I wasn't going to just record my podcast and tell my girl, you deal with all that. All right. I've got a show to do. I can't be dealing with no stray abandoned animals right now. All right. The people need me. My people need me. And I got to get to them. No. She was like, you can record if you want to. And that's a trick. Whenever a girl tells you that you can do something and then ends the sentence with, if you want to, men, all men out there, I need to warn you, that is a trap. Stop what you're doing. Think about it. And do not do that thing. Hey, babe, I know it's 8 o'clock at night, but the guys just hit me up. They're all going to go out. So I think I'm going to meet up with them, you know? Yeah, you could go to the bar if you want. You know what you shouldn't do? Go to the bar. If you want, is a death sentence. If that's what you want to do, oh, you know what that is? If that's what you want to do, is basically a judge raising the gavel in the air, ready to sentence you to death. You're like, yo, I think I'm going to go to Vegas for the weekend. If that's what you want to do, the gavel's up, and the dude goes, yeah, I think that's what I want to do. Guilty! I sentence you to death. I will hereby give you the silent treatment for a week, and you will have to buy me something expensive at the end of those 7 days. That's if I go to the bar. If I go to Vegas, I basically have to buy her a trip to Miami without me to make up for it. And give her the spending money for it. If that's what you want, death. So when she said, you can record your podcast if you want to, if that's what you want. And I was like, You know what? Suddenly, I do not want to record the podcast. Suddenly, I want to do exactly what you want me to do. I legit wasn't like, I legit felt bad about the turtle, so I was going to just record. I mean, Freudian slip. I was going to just help out, and I did. And then I just went to work. That's the reason. And then, you know, that was Thursday. Friday Thursday I went to work. Friday I was a little hungover, and that's why I could not record on Friday. Yeah, I forgot that there's no explanation for why I didn't record at all on Friday. I was on call for work. They didn't call me in, so I had the day off, but I was hungover. Yeah. I was supposed to hang out with Keith, and I texted him and I told him I woke up feeling like sick or not good. I left out that it was due to the shots of tequila that I did the night before. I left that part out. I felt bad. So instead, I figured I would just tell him on this podcast and let him find out publicly with the rest of my listeners and watchers. So, yep, my bad, Keith, was really fucking hungover last night. Or yesterday. I was like, you know what sucks is like, not proud of this, but I don't have like a bucket to throw. Oh, I do kind of have a bucket. So I forgot that I had this bucket that I wanted to throw up in something, but not leave the couch. So not proud of this, but I used my cat's litter box. I was just laying on the couch and right into a litter box. And it's weird because all I was throwing up was just water that I couldn't keep down. And then the vomit water goes into the kitty litter. And the kitty litter starts doing its job. It starts like fortifying and like getting like harder. And I'm just there for hours, just filling it up with more vomited water. And I have that kitty litter aroma just funneling into my nose. That's what I get. Yeah, I drank a couple of. See, I drank just a couple of shots, but the bartender at the bar that I sometimes go to after work is friends of mine, friends of ours, and those shots are huge, and I kind of take that for granted. They're like fucking doubles, basically. So I did it to myself. I will take it. So yeah, my bad, Keith. My bad, Keith. And my bad to you guys, because I could have recorded yesterday. This could have been out 24 hours ago. I could have had a splendid time with my friend Keith, but no, instead I spent it throwing up into a box of kitty litter because I'm a big kid. And my name is Will Bryant. As I pound the last of my coffee like it's another shot of tequila. So my bad. Yeah. Hungover. Haven't been hungover like that in a while, but it is what it is. My drinking, now that I work somewhere where it's not just like a take a shot with a customer kind of place, since I barely see customers. I don't, this sounds weird. I don't drink at work anymore, but I don't work at an office. Remember that. I'm a bartender. So drinking at work, even though that sentence always sounds bad, it's a little bit different when you're a bartender, But regardless, yeah, my drinking at work has definitely gone. Actually, I'm not even gonna say has gone down. It's zero now. I don't drink at work at all. It's not that kind of place. So that definitely helps me cut down on my drinking. And I think that Thursday night was like a combination of me. I didn't eat anything since breakfast, and then I hadn't really just gone out and drank shots of tequila like that in a while. Whereas before I got the job, I was able to do that like 4 times a week, just right at work. So I don't know. Maybe my tolerance it's not bad. But I'm not one of these people that brags about never getting drunk. That's such bullshit. I do. I just don't really. I don't know. I get drunk differently, I think, than other people. I don't know. I don't know what that means, I guess. I don't have like the droopy eyes, and I'm not exactly like stumbling and shit. I think I don't think I act too drunk until I'm like way drunk. Then it's like, oh shit. But my tolerance can fluctuate slightly, and I feel it more the day after. The night of drinking, I'll kind of be all right. No matter whether my tolerance is up or down. I feel like my tolerance towards alcohol is more about my ability to recover than my actual level of intoxication on the night of. So like what I mean by that is if I go out and my tolerance is low, that doesn't mean that I'll only be able to take like 2 shots as opposed to 6. I'll probably still be able to do 5 or 6, but the next day I will be hung over like a motherfucker, probably throwing up. Whereas if my tolerance was high, the next day I would have like a little bit of a headache and just take 2 aspirin and call it a day. That's what I mean by my level, I guess, of how my levels fluctuate a bit. My ability to drink. It's more about the next day than anything else. And so that's what happened this time. My tolerance was a little bit low, so I had 2 beers and 3 big ass shots, and those big ass shots got me. It was closer to taking like 5 shots, I guess, maybe 5 to 6, who knows, depending if the shots you take are 1 ounce and not 1.5. And yeah, I felt it the next day. I did not feel good till like the night. Yeah, that night. So all that is to say, my bad, Keith, and my bad, listeners and viewers, because we're a little late this week. But it's all good. Because I'm here. My girl was like, all right, so no big deal. You skip a week. And I was like, absolutely not. I don't want to skip a week here, no matter what. I will try my best to be here week in and week out if I can help it. And God damn it, I can help it. And here I am. The week is not over. It's not over. And I'm here recording. Better late than never. Remember that Daughtry dude, Chris Daughtry? I bet his band is still kicking. I feel like a Chris Daughtry concert just has a bunch of 45-year-old white people in the crowd. every time that I think to myself, it's not over, which is basically my motto in fantasy football, because I'm always getting my ass kicked, and I'm just saying it's not over. So Chris Daughtry is my spirit animal, because it's never over. It's not over. Yeah, if you haven't realized by now, I really don't have much to talk about this week. It's I guess my last couple of episodes, actually, like I said, last week was just me clearing out stuff from my notes, and it just ended up being all parent related and stuff. I had a couple of very, very focused episodes, I guess, revolving around work and whatnot. So right now, what can I say? Things are going all right for me. Things are going all right. I'm starting to get into a flow of things in the new job. I like my coworkers. I like the spot, and it's definitely cool to just hang around a bunch of comedians and stuff. Kind of just watch them as they do their thing in the wild. It's fun. Yesterday was Teddy's birthday. I'm gonna go see him later today. Happy birthday, Teddy. I did it on a podcast, so that means that my happy birthday is bigger and better and more important than any other happy birthday that you got this weekend. Especially that bullshit happy birthday that everybody gave you in the chat, where Monica like typed it in at 7 a.m. just to make sure that everybody fucking knew that it was your birthday on that day. Because come on, like, she didn't say happy birthday to your face. She had to say it in the chat. So then everybody was like, oh yeah, I forgot. Oh yeah, happy birthday, happy birthday. I even chimed in and said happy birthday in the chat. But you know what? That's not my real happy birthday. No. This is my real happy birthday. Live on air. I know it's not live. I know it's recorded and published later. But still on air from Big Kid with Will Bryant. The host of Big Kid with Will Bryant, I'm Will Bryant, is telling you, Teddy, happy birthday. And also your name's not real. Get a real name. When I was going to sit down and record this podcast on Thursday, I had a bunch of shit that I was going to talk about. And then I ended up taking care of a turtle instead that we're naming Forky. But I was going to talk a little bit about, I don't know why, but I had my history in sports. Oh, I know what it was. I had my athletic history in my head. And it was because last week I was talking about my mom and my dad so much that it reminded me that when I was younger, I was trying to think of more mom stories. And all I could really think about was the fact that my mother, because I didn't have a stepfather until I was about 4 or 5, and it took him a while to really, I guess, ingratiate himself into that father role. My mom went out of her way she told me, she's like, I put you in every sport that I could so that the fact that you didn't have a father growing up didn't affect you in that way. She felt like sports is I guess a male or a manly thing, and that perhaps a lack of a paternal influence might lead to me not being involved in sports or thinking that I could be. But my mom was like, no, fuck that. I'm going to put you in everything. And growing up, I mean, I played basketball and baseball and soccer, and I was in karate, and I was in swimming. I took some gymnastics classes even. I did all these athletics, never good at any of them, by the way. Never good at any of them. But she went out of her way to make sure I played sports. And then later on in life, I volunteered myself to play football and even took some jiu-jitsu and MMA classes. And I, again, sucked at them all. But I was in them. I I remember. So I grew up near, even though I was born in Jackson Heights, I grew up in Flushing, Queens, and Flushing Meadow Park is a 5 to 10 minute walk. 5 minutes for me, 10 minutes for my mom, uh, from our apartment. So I was in that park all the time. Back when I was more of an avid runner, I would run through that park 3 to 5 times a week. I loved it. I still love that park. And I remember one time we were young. We were young. Well, I was. She was too, younger. We were walking through the park, and I just saw if there's any sport that is popular in Flushing Meadow Park, it's soccer. Now there's like 11 different soccer fields on in the park, and I'm pretty sure they're building a soccer stadium there for NYCFC too. But at the time, there wasn't that many soccer fields or pitches or whatever. But everyone still went there to play soccer, and I saw organized soccer being played with a bunch of kids, and I remember just being really interested. Never played soccer at all, and my mom just walked me right up to it, and it was as simple as, my son wants to play. How do I sign him up? And I remember very quickly I was just signed up, and I think what really ingratiated my mother to that like squad was that it was I remember to this day sidebar, let's come back to this. Earlier this week, I said to this day, like in a normal tone to Val, and Val responds to me by yelling it, to this day. And I start laughing, and I ask her, I'm like, you know what that's from? She's like, yeah, your podcast. To this day. And I was like, no. She thought it was like one of my things. I'm stealing catchphrases here. I was like, no, that's not mine. And I realized there's probably a bunch of you guys that don't know. I stole that from heavyweight boxer and former world champion Deontay Wilder. He was doing like press for a fight, I think. And this journalist, Radio Raheem is his name, asked him a question about Deontay Wilder was talking about how I think it was Tyson Fury maybe, but whoever he was facing hadn't felt like the same type of just turmoil that he has. He was mad that like, oh, Tyson Fury's talking about all this mental health and all this stuff, and he don't know what we as a people have been through for like 400 years. And Radio Raheem was like, what do you mean by that? Tell the people what you mean. And Deontay looked at him like, what you mean what I mean? What are you talking about? Like, and he went on this rant that's kind of viral now, talking about how his the strife was of black people for hundreds of years, and he goes, it's not even 100 years ago. It's to this day. And that got clipped out and kind of went viral. And it went on TV, And so that's my little homage to Deontay Wilder and to the sport of boxing. Whenever I can't really say the words to this day anymore without to this day popping up in my head. So that's what it is. To this day. What was I talking about? Something about soccer, right? So my mom was kind of like gravitated towards this team because it was named after Andres Escobar. That was like the name of the squad, Andres Escobar. I don't know. I forgot if it was like Equipo de Andres Escobar or whatever. But Andres Escobar was a Colombian soccer player. He played for the national team, and he was actually murdered in cold blood, kind of, basically. As the story goes, and bear with me if I get some of these details wrong, but as the story goes, Colombia was in the World Cup, and Andres Escobar accidentally scored on his own team. He he played. I believe he was a defensive player. So he, if I remember correctly, he was like sliding to get a ball, kick a ball out of the way to like a safer area, and he accidentally hit it into his own net. And the Colombian goalkeeper, I am half Colombian. Our goalkeeper could not do anything about it and scored, and it basically cost Colombia the match. And a couple of weeks later, at some area in Colombia, his own home country, he was gunned down. I believe it was like machine gunned down in his car, if I'm not mistaken. And the understanding is that he was actually gunned down by his own people, by Colombian drug traffickers or gang leaders or whatever. And if I remember the story correctly, I learned this from this ESPN 30 for 30 documentary. I think it's called The Two Escobars. And this happened at a time when Pablo Escobar was in jail. And when that happened, when Pablo Escobar went to jail, the head of the snake was cut off. But instead of the snake dying, and by the snake I mean the Colombian cartel, what happened was 7 more heads grew from that one cut off, severed head. So everyone thought that they were in charge, and with no one at the top to make sure that no one's doing anything wrong or awry, it was kind of like all hell went loose. And it's believed that if Pablo Escobar were not in jail at that time, that Andres Escobar would not have been assassinated. That Pablo was still in charge, or would have still been in charge, and he would have heard about this plan and put the kibosh on that as the leader. And as the leader, the feared and respected leader, everyone would have listened, and Andres Escobar would have lived. There's a story of Pablo Escobar actually being in jail and having the entire Colombian national team visit him while in jail, and that the guards let Pablo Escobar go out into like the field and play a game of soccer with the Colombian national team. Pablo Escobar was visited by the Colombian national soccer team, and they all played a pickup game of soccer while he was in jail. That's what Pablo Escobar, that's what he meant in that, like, that's the power he had. So he loved that team. And that's why the thinking, the understanding is that had he not been in jail and had he been still out and in charge, that Andres Escobar would never have been assassinated. I've always had a soft spot for, I guess, Colombian soccer and that story in general because of that team that I played on when I was younger. Now, I was terrible. I was horrible at it. I don't know how to play soccer. I didn't know. I used to play the soccer video games, and I was the type of kid that would play a video game and never read the instruction manual, barely read buttons, you know. So when I had the soccer games, I didn't know that you can like take the ball away from somebody while still standing up. The only way that I knew to take the ball away in the video game was to slide tackle, like slide in feet first. So what did I do when I played soccer for the first time ever? I was gunning for people's feet left and right, just sliding in and out of people, trying to take the ball away. All day on the floor, just fucking aggressively slide tackling. All the players that knew how to play looked at me like, what the fuck is this guy doing? He's trying to kill us. I was not very popular on the team, if I remember correctly. Yeah, too much slide tackling. And I didn't know what offsides meant. And because I had played basketball, I thought that it was like similar rules. So offsides in soccer is basically the offensive player, cannot be behind the defensive player without the ball. So if the defender is if the last defender is this far up, you as the offensive player cannot be behind him without the ball at the time of the pass. Meaning, like, I can't be behind him and have the ball passed to me. I have to get past him with the ball, or the ball has to be passed to me before I'm past the defender. I know, sounds confusing. Don't worry, I confused the shit out of myself. But what I was doing was, in basketball, it doesn't matter if you get past the defender. If you are on a fast break and get past your defender, you have an open shot. You can get the ball on a long outlet pass and grab it and lay it up. I thought, wow, no one in soccer knows how to defend against a fast break. I thought I figured it out at age like 8. I thought at age 8, I was the smartest, the most intelligent soccer player in the world, because no defender is defending against the fast break. What is going on? So my team would be on offense trying to score a goal, and I would just see that the defender is all the way at like midfield just chilling. So I would jog behind him. My team would be on defense trying to defend the goal, and the defender would be at near the half. I'm about to call it half court, like it's a basketball, midfield. And I would just kind of sneak behind them, and I'd be like, I'm open, waiting for them to pass me the ball. And the defender would look behind me and be like, you're offsides, you idiot. And I didn't know, I had no idea what that meant. I'd look at him like, yeah, right. You can't defend this, baby. No one ever passed me the ball because they all knew the rules. I can't be passed the ball because that's offsides. I had no idea. I was slide tackling and running off sides every day. Every day, man. I did not last long on that team. I think I only played that one season. I never played soccer again, really, until I was in like my mid to late 20s. I was working at this store that just sold athletic gear, like from anything from running sneakers to a freaking harpoon gun that you can shoot from a boat to kill a shark. They had tents to kayaks to hockey gear to workout clothes, yoga pants. It was like 4 floors. They had everything. And I worked there for a while, and because there was so many people there that were into sports, there was a lot of activities that we would get each other to organize and get together and do. Like, there was a weekly soccer game between employees. They would literally have like 11 on 11, a full soccer field, and they would play soccer. And one week they were like, "Will, you gotta come." And I was like, "Yeah, fuck it, I'll go." It was like World Cup time. I had World Cup in my blood and my fever. I was all soccered up. And because I worked in the team sports department of the sporting goods store, I had a bunch of fly gear for soccer. Specifically, it was World Cup season, and I was getting a lot of stuff. And I remember we all worked, and we all like went to these beautiful soccer fields. I think it's by was it by West Fourth? No, that's the basketball court. I forgot where it is. By the water, by the piers, I think, at the water. And I had like this Adidas top with the matching shorts. I had brand new Lionel Messi World Cup edition cleats. I had the wristbands. My drip was out of this world for soccer. I looked the best out of all of us. And here's what happened. 2 people went up as captains, and it was a big store. So I knew everyone kind of, but like no one really knew. I didn't know everyone that well. I knew names and stuff, but didn't really hang out with many of them. Just like a couple that that we went with. And so these 2 captains, I don't really know them that well. it's time for them to choose. And I remember, the first dude chose his friend who like played soccer in college. The next captain goes up. He chooses his boy that he knows is good. And then third pick is up. I'm telling you, it's like 11 on 11. So there's 20 people that are getting drafted right now. We're down to 18. And of all of those players, that captain used his second pick, third overall, on me. And I immediately went, oh, shit, we're fucked. And I got up and I jogged over there. And I remember just kind of whispering to him, you really fucked that up, man. And he was like, what? And I had to tell him, I was like, I am not good at all. Like this right here, this outfit, this look, it is fooling you, my friend. I should have dressed even worse. That's what I remember my buddy was telling me. Oh, and yeah, we lost that game. We got our asses handed to me. What a wasted draft pick on me, by the way. My friend who was good or is good at soccer told me, he's like, that makes sense because the person you have to fear the most on the soccer field is not the one that dresses the best. No, what you're afraid of is that dude that came to the soccer field after work and he took off his button down and he's just playing in a tank top and slacks and dress shoes. If that guy comes onto the field and says, can I get in on this game? Be afraid. Because the motherfucker that is confident enough in himself to ball in slacks and dress shoes, that is who you need to be afraid of. That's the motherfucker that's going to cookie you and cross you up and all the stuff. And he was right. Because I remember being like on basketball courts. Also, by the way, I am dressed impeccably for basketball. Also, by the way, terrible at basketball. I'll be on a court and I'll see somebody in sweatpants that has like a hole in them and a t-shirt that looks like he bought it back in 1998. And he's the one that's getting the beautiful assist that has a perfect 3-point shot. And I'm there with my arm sleeve and shorts that match my sneakers and my shirt, fucking clanking and bricking all night long. In slow pitch softball, I had the most beautiful drip. I even had $50 batting gloves. And in slow pitch softball, I struck out. And I remember someone on my team going, well, at least you look good doing it. And I smiled because I was like, well, that's one thing. Well, that's one thing. Baseball, growing up, when I was playing I was on a baseball team too. I remember, same thing. We went to Modell's. My mom took me to Modell's. Remember Modell's? Gotta go to Moe's. Gotta go to Moe's. Yeah, gotta go to Moe's. Modell's. Gotta go to Moe's. If you don't know that song, you're dead to me, but not really. Man, I can't imagine working at Modell's back when it was still open and every 10 minutes having to hear that song. Gotta go to Moe's. Gotta go to Moe's. Yeah, gotta go to Moe's. Modell's. Gotta go to Moe's. Do you want all the summer deals? Come now fast. 2 bats for the price of 1. 2 cleats for the price of 1. Right now, buy 2, get 1 free at Modell's. Modell's. Gotta go to Moe's. Don't worry, I'm not going to sing it again. Gotta go to Moe's, yeah. I'll stop right there. Gotta go to Moe's. Modell's. I'm not going to sing the whole thing. Gotta go to Moe's. All right, I did. I'm sorry. I lied. It's the Eddie Guerrero shit right there. Well, you know what I say? I lied. I think I need drops on this podcast. You know, like those buttons that you press and you just have random sounds that come out. I didn't want to do that because I feel like that's like a trope that a lot of radio shows and podcasts do. But man, I kind of get why it'd be fun. If I just had a button that I could press and suddenly Eddie Guerrero would just come out and be like, I lied. Or every time I say to this day, I press a button and Deontay is like, to this day, to this day. Wouldn't that just be exactly what I need? I'll have another drop for Ice Cubes whenever I say, yeah, today was a good day. Today was a good day. What else do I steal from other people? I don't know. Thinking about getting that. So we go to Modell's. Gotta go to Modell's. You thought I forgot. We go to Modell's, and there's just this dude with a table set up and like papers to sign up with, and it was a baseball league, the Flushing Baseball League or Academy or whatever. And I was like, whoa, baseball right here in Flushing? Like, all right, cool. Usually you have to go to like Corona or you know, not anywhere that far, but you know, when I could just walk somewhere and play baseball, that'd be a lot better. And I remember right there, right away, my mom signed me up. I played T-ball when I was younger. I don't really remember much about it, but I remember playing T-ball when I was younger. I probably sucked, but I don't remember. And I hadn't played baseball since the T-ball days when I was like 6 or 7. I don't know. And I was definitely that stupid kid that thought like I'm probably good at everything. And it wasn't until I was an adult that I had the humility to be like, nah, I sucked at everything. Like everything. I would even tell people, I would tell them like, oh, my mom used to put me in sports, all the sports growing up. I played everything. And I had this line that I would tell people. And I wasn't lying. In my head, it was the truth. I Costanza'd myself. It's not a lie if you believe it. And I did it to myself. I would tell people I was never great at sports, but I was always good enough to make the team. No, I wasn't. All the teams that I ever made was because my mom paid the fee. So I should have actually corrected that sentence and been like, I sucked at every sport I ever played, but my mom always paid, so I was on the teams, you know? I was on the soccer team because my mom paid. I was on the baseball team because my mom paid. I was a swimmer because my mom paid. And I was in karate, and I made it all the way to black belt. I'm a black belt in Taekwondo, believe it or not. You know why? Because my mom paid them. You know how much it costs to become a black belt in Taekwondo? My mom told me it cost her like $2,000. $2,000 for me to achieve my black belt in Taekwondo. It took me like 2 years. And every time I went up a belt, I'm pretty sure there was a fee for it. But the big fee was that last one. And my mom paid it. She was proud. Hell, I was proud. I remember that black belt exam. It was, you know, just memorizing a lot of fighting things and whatevers and blah, blah, blahs. But I remember the one thing that we had to do that exam that I had never done in any other exam. I mean, every exam involved breaking wood. I don't know. That's like the martial arts thing is they train you to break wood. So we always had to break wood at our exams. Like I remember, you know, after just becoming a white belt and getting your yellow belt, it was something simple like just punching it. The more you advance, the more difficult the maneuvers you'd have to break wood with would be, whether it be like a spinning heel kick or, a spinning side kick or a jump, you know, some type of jumping feint kick or whatever. But for my black belt exam, we did something I had never done before. They put 3 like people on the ground on their hands and knees, and we had to jump over them and break boards with like a flying, one was like a flying side kick. The other one was like a flying, like a straight flying kick that we were supposed to break with like the bone, like the circle or whatever it's called, the bone in our foot right underneath the big toe. To jump over people. And I did it, believe it or not. I jumped over people and broke a bunch of boards. And I remember there being this kid like a little bit younger than me that, I've got to say it, he was overweight. He was a big kid. Yeah, he was definitely a big kid. Let's just say that. Ha, big kid with Will Bryant. He was a fatso. He was. I mean, what can I say? He was. Nice kid, but he was overweight. That's not a detriment to him. That's just part of the story. Because I remember when it was his turn to jump over, he did this like jog and just stopped and looked at the teacher and just like shook his head like I can't. He took two of the dudes away and he only had to jump over one, and he didn't even like try it. He didn't have the ability to jump over the dude. My teacher, my sensei, my master Ki Young Choi, he told him, all right, don't worry about it. Just move off to the side. And he sat down while a couple of us that were also in the exam went and continued on with the test. And we were jumping over people and breaking woods. I remember at one point, I was supposed to hit the board with, like I said, the bottom of my foot. I had to like bend my toes back and hit it with the flat part of my foot. But I didn't bend my toes backwards enough. And I hit the board with like my big toe just straight on it. And I broke it, but basically used the tips of my toes to do it. And to this day, I've never broken a bone in my body. I thought I broke some ribs back then in the shower. Y'all remember that, but I never did. That's the closest I thought I ever came to breaking a bone. I thought my big toe was broken. It wasn't. It was just really badly jammed or whatever. But I remember, like, you know, being in pain and my teacher, he was an intense dude, but a kind dude. You know, like he would never. He never diminished, you know, like fear or pain or anything like that. So I wasn't afraid to like show him like, holy shit, I just fucking hurt my foot. If anything, him seeing the pain on my face, like he wasn't used to that. I didn't really get hurt much in Taekwondo. So I remember him just looking at me, like touching the toe, seeing that it hurt, but then asking me like, you want to stop? You want to quit or you want to continue? And it was like, I think he knew what I was going to say, but it was a little bit of a test and a little bit of a psyching myself up type of moment. And he looked at me and I was like, I'm not stopping. Absolutely not. And I remember breaking another 2 or 3 boards after that. Again, jumping over and doing and having to do that all athletic shit. And I didn't. I was really proud of myself. And here I am like thinking I broke a bone in my foot to get this black belt exam. And the big kid that didn't have to do it, he got the same belt that I got. We both got the black belt. You want to know why? Because our moms paid. So I was never fooled by this black belt thing. Like I was proud that I did it in the sense that like I was in this program for 2 or 3 years and I never quit. But I never disillusioned myself to think, well, now I'm a badass. That never happened. No, especially because almost immediately after I became a black belt is when I was assaulted on the street and hospitalized for the first time. And I had a very quick come to Jesus moment there. Very quick come to Jesus moment. The world, it's funny, I got my black belt. I achieved my black belt. And immediately after the one athletic thing that I actually did correctly in my athletic life, the world wanted to make sure that I was never fooled into thinking that I am actually an athlete. I got my black belt, and about a week later, the world was like, excuse me, Will, take this. Punched right in the face, chipped tooth, knocked out, kicked in the ribs, hospitalized. And I kid you not, what did my dad say to me after he saw me for the first time, after getting my ass whooped? Not, are you okay? He didn't say, Bill, are you okay? Does it hurt? No. My mom did, because that's what moms do. My dad looked at me and he goes, what did we just pay $2,000 for if your black belt can't help you in the streets? Just walked out. So the world reminded me really quick that I am not an athlete. I am not an athlete. So my mom paid and I became a black belt. Why did I bring that up? Because if you remember, we were in Modell's. Gotta go to Moe's. Gotta go to Moe's. Yeah, gotta go to Moe's. Modell's. Gotta go to Moe's. We were in Modell's. There was this dude with a sign-up sheet for baseball. And what happened? My mom paid, and now I'm a baseball player. I remember my mom bought me a mitt. I had no idea that there was a such a thing as a second base glove, an infield glove, a first base glove. The only thing I knew was definitely a catcher's mitt, and everything else I thought was the same thing. So my mom just bought me a glove from Modell's, and I think it was like 12 inches or something like that. And that's an outfield glove. I had no idea. I show up to the first ever practice for our baseball team, and we're told to go warm up. Warm up is just find a partner and throw a ball back and forth, get your arm warmed up. I'm just hoping that I'm not like the one left without a partner, but I matched up with somebody. I learned he was like the shortstop on the team, and I start off with the ball, and I realized I've never actually warmed up in my life. I've only played catch like a couple of times, and a lot of times it'd be indoors, like with a handball. And how do I throw something like that? I a nice little lob, just like that. And I remember having this ball in my hand, and I gave the most pathetic lob of a baseball that's ever occurred in the history of the sport. This thing had so much arc to it. It took an hour for the ball to land in my teammate's glove. And he was bored as he caught it. And he looked at me like, what the fuck was that? And I'll never forget this moment because I was scared to death. He grabbed the ball and he fucking lasered it. Boom! Right at me. And to this day, I have no idea how. Surely or purely out of fear, instinct, and self-defense movement, I put my glove up to not die, and the ball went right in the glove. And I looked at it like, holy shit, what the fuck was that? And I pick up the ball, or I grab the ball from my glove, and I give him another fucking floating ball of love. Even more arc in it than the first one. This one took 2 hours to get to his glove. Dude took a nap, woke up, caught it, and he did one of these. Put his hands up, palms to the sky, wondering what's wrong with you. He said, come on, man, come on. And grabs the ball, and even faster than the first one. Phew! Randy Johnson fastball. I'm surprised there wasn't a bird in between the ball and me that exploded when he hit it. Fastball right at me. And again, purely out of defensive reasons. Put my glove up so I don't die. And somehow, some way, right in the glove again. And I looked and I went, wow, I'm catching this. And he looked at me, he's like, come on, man. You got to warm up. And I realized, duh. No one in baseball throws it like they're playing catch in a living room. You have to throw it as fast as possible to get the people out on base. I realized in that moment, holy crap, I've never really thrown a baseball hard, and I've never been on the receiving end of a hard thrown baseball. I was figuring it out on the spot. And somehow I just remember this, I did not embarrass myself in terms of catching. Throwing, I realized then that, my arm wasn't terrible because I've seen later on in life. I remember teaching, having to teach my college buddies the basics in softball when we did intramural softball. It was me, Tony, James, Brian. It was a good time. I remember it was fun just practicing. And I somehow me and this dude Ricky were the only ones that ever played baseball, and somehow I was the one. Well, he definitely had the most knowledge, but he didn't want to be in charge or whatever. So I was in charge. I had some of the most knowledge on the team. That's when you know we're in trouble. And I realized I literally had to teach people how to throw. And I remember my friend Tony, I feel like he's stronger than me. I've had to try to get him to go somewhere when he's drunk. He's absolutely stronger than me. But he never played baseball ever. And I remember just watching him throw, and I was surprised that even though this dude is stronger than me, his throw was just weak. And it was because it had nothing to do with strength. It had all to do with mechanics. He had to develop a whip like action or movement in his arm. He was so stiff that he would just kind of try to muscle it. I kind of naturally had that little whip in my arm, so it helped me out. Somehow, by the way, Tony couldn't throw a baseball well, but you put a football in that same arm, and that shit had a perfect spiral and was just flying. I remember we once went to like the beach in college and brought a football with us, and this was after we played softball. And I had this cocky moment where I was like, oh, let me see this. This is going to be a sight to see. And Tony, who, by the way, probably never threw a football either, just launches this fucking perfect spiral that goes over everyone's head. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, this kid's a natural. He had the arm for football, but not for baseball. So I at least did have that little whip in my arm. And I found out that day that I can throw it, a little bit hard. Not as hard as these guys, but I was at least not embarrassing myself. And I figured out very quickly to stop putting that stupid arc in the ball and just make it go straight. And I was having so much fun just playing catch. I'd never done like real freaking hard pitch catch. It was awesome. But yeah, I was throwing it like an idiot. And then it came to like break us up into positions and practice at your own position. And I didn't know what I was. I thought because I wasn't athletic or something that maybe I should be the catcher. And then the catcher like comes up and he's this big, strong guy that already has a catcher's mitt and he's gunning people out at first and second. I was like, all right, never mind. I will not be a catcher. I can't do any of that. And I don't have the mitt for it, right? The coach sees my 12-inch glove and he goes, you're obviously an outfielder. Get out there with the outfield coach. I had no idea that I had an outfielder's glove. So I go out there and the coach, the other coach, the assistant coach, he's hitting these pop flies to like a bunch of us. And everyone's doing all the catching besides me. I'm kind of just running to like wherever everyone else is. Then he starts doing us one at a time. And when it's my turn, I don't know what was wrong or what is wrong, but I have never in my life, back then to this day, I have never been able to correctly judge fly balls. When that baseball is in the air and if it comes off a bat and you throw it into the air, for some reason, I have no idea if that ball is going to land 20 feet in front of me or 20 feet over my head. I can't do it. Every time I would run in to catch the ball, that shit would fly over my head. And every time I waited to see if it was about to fly over my head, it fucking fell in front of me. I didn't catch a single fly ball in practice. The coach was like, you just gotta like judge it in the air. And I'm like, I know, but I can't. Didn't the whole time. So they were like, what the fuck? You have an outfield glove, but you can't catch a single fly ball. They tested me out on the infield. I think they realized this guy doesn't have the arm to play third base. He doesn't have the athleticism to play short. And the first base spot is usually saved for someone that defensively is maybe all right, but you can hide him there because he's a good power hitter or something like that. And that was the case here. And the thing is, there's also more nuance to playing first because you have to know how to move and how to stand at first to catch balls. There's actually more to it. And I learned that later on. So they put me at second. And I thought that was cool when I was younger, but there's something you got to know. There's two positions on the field that they'll put the worst player on. And it's usually, or the worst defensive player at. And it's usually left or right field, one of the corners, but usually left, I feel, and second base. I was at second base. And they had me field ground balls, and I wasn't terrible at it. They taught me a couple of things about like how to stand, and my main thing was just to not be afraid of the ball, and I was doing all right. So that's what they figured out my position was, second base. But here's the thing. I wasn't the starting second baseman. And it was weird because of that team, of the entire team, I might have been the worst player on the team if it weren't for one other person. And that person was the second baseman starting ahead of me. He had errors in every game, and his batting average was probably .1. But he had one thing going for him. He was the coach's nephew. So he started at second base. And I remember thinking, wow, that's the one person on this team that I'm actually better than. I even had teammates tell me that, and they knew I sucked. But after games that like we would lose due to errors and whatnot, they would start chirping. They'd be like, dude, even you would be better than what we're doing. And I took that as the highest of compliments. I was like, yes. They said even I would be better. Hell yeah. But I wasn't starting. It was like probably a month in and still nothing. I would maybe get in one at bat a game or something. This wasn't Little League. So there's a rule in Little League that says every player has to play at least 3 outs or get one at bat, or your team is disqualified. That rule did not exist in this fucking Flushing Baseball Academy. So there was games I didn't play. And then one practice, I remember we started the practice off a little bit differently. And the coach gathered everyone together and he made us all take a knee. And I remember this. He started talking about, I think the kid's name was Junior. But when you're like Dominican or Puerto Rican, everyone's name is Junior. So he was like, Junior, if you haven't noticed, Junior's not here today. And unfortunately, he's not going to be around for a while. And everybody was looking around like, what? What the hell's going on? And my eyes are getting like a little wide, like, what? And he goes, unfortunately, and he takes his hat off, gets all somber. He goes, Junior was hit by a car a couple of days ago. And he's in the hospital right now. And everybody just gets like real somber, like, holy shit. Everyone. Except for me. Because I had to work so hard to keep that glee from reaching my face. When coach said he's going to be gone the rest of the season, I nearly did a backflip. I don't even know how to do a backflip. But I would have tried to learn, and then I would have tried to pull one off. I only got to start at second base for the rest of that season because the guy in front of me got hit by a car. Even though I thought I was better than him, I didn't earn the spot. I didn't outplay him for it. No. He got hit by a car. And that is how I got to start at second base for the rest of the season. And what nobody knows that I'm going to confess here for the first time in 15 years, more like 20 years, what I'm going to confess to the world right now is that I paid the driver. Oh! Hell yeah. I paid that driver. I said, you know what? This kid doesn't deserve it. I paid this driver to freaking mow this kid down. Boom. Best $200 I ever spent. Started at second base for the rest of the year. And then I officially became the worst player on the team. And I earned it, baby. I earned it. Obviously, I'm kidding. But I was happy. Like, he wasn't dead. If that meeting ended with "and may he rest in peace," I would be a lot less happy. But he was alive. And you know what? The rest of the team was kind of like, well, at least we don't have that many errors a game now. Yeah, I was no all-star, but I at least didn't really let the ball get by me too often. I was the type of player that every time that the pitcher was getting ready to throw the ball, I would just say a little prayer in my head, or not even a prayer, just a mantra. And I was talking to the ball every time. And whenever that pitcher was about to pitch it, I would just say, please don't come to me. 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 And every time that ball went anywhere else besides second base, I would be like, yes, thank you. The least that I would have to do in a game, the better. Please don't come to me. Please don't come to me. Please don't come to me. Ooh, yes. Home run. Thank God I didn't fuck up. I didn't care that we just lost. I cared that I didn't fuck up. Told you, I sucked at baseball, man. I sucked at it all. There was not one thing I was good at. My mom put me in basketball when I was younger. Rode the bench the whole time. You know why I was in basketball? Because she paid. It's the theme. I was on the bench. Pure. I used to brag about being able to set good picks. Do you know how pathetic that is? That's what you hold on to in basketball? I set a mean pick. Yo, you any good? You got a shot? Nah. No, not really. Some handles? No. I try to avoid that. You a good passer? Not really. What do you do? I said a mean pick, baby. Pathetic. That's pathetic. I'm not terrible on defense, but that's just more of like I was the dude that just tried really hard because I knew I sucked. I actually wasn't a terrible rebounder, and they say that rebounding is just a desire thing. So because I sucked so bad, I definitely was the least arrogant player on the team, but I knew that to be effective on the team, I had to do stuff that like no one else would do. So I was diving for every ball. Every freaking ball, I was diving for it. Every rebound, I was running in for it. Like I did not take plays off, mostly because I barely played, so I had a lot of energy. I get it why in the fourth quarter my dude that's been fucking playing all game long is tired and can't run for the loose ball at the end of the game. I have plenty of energy, so I'll be that guy that does it. In fact, I remember I used to tell this story. I used to tell people that I busted open my mouth diving for a loose ball in basketball. But that's not exactly true. Let me come clean. See, growing up playing basketball at St. Michael's, we had a basketball court. It also served as like our auditorium. It was our courtatorium. And it was designed so poorly because the out of bounds line would be right here. And then the cement wall would literally be 5 inches away from that line. To inbound the ball, you had to rest your back on the wall to pass the ball in. Not a lie. The wall was literally inches away from out of bounds. So if you're running, they put mats up on the walls behind the hoops. Because if you're running for a layup, you're running right into the wall. It's only like 6 feet or 6 inches past the out of bounds line. We learned to like get good at not running like directly towards the wall. And I used to tell people that because of this, I once dove for a ball because I give it my all in the game, and that I hit the wall with my face. Not exactly true. See, I did hit the wall from my face, but I didn't actually dive, and it also wasn't during the game. It was halftime, and we all just were doing a shoot around during halftime. Being the bench warmer that I was, this is the first time that I hit the court and touched the ball that day. So I was taking all the shots. And one ball got away from me, and I remember this other teammate was like running in front or whatever, and I remember in my head I blamed him for it. But I looked at him and tripped over my own feet and fell face first into the wall. And I remember my coach looking down like, how the hell did you do that? And I look up at him and he just goes, oh, shit. And I had just a pool of blood form immediately underneath my face on the floor, and it was all over my white jersey. I didn't realize it until my mom ran down from the stands, and another coach of like another team of a younger team that wasn't playing. They pulled me into the bathroom, and we look at my lip, and my skin on the lip is hanging off and just dangling. And the other coach looked at me right away and was like, oh, you're going to need stitches. So I left the game at halftime and went to some clinic to get stitches because I tripped on my own foot and slammed my face into a wall during shoot around. That's the kind of athlete that I am. Yeah, I always used to tell people it happened in the game and I was diving for a ball. Like, yeah, man, I don't give a fuck. Actually, it was shoot around and I tripped over my own foot. Whether it's fooling people with my outfits in soccer, waiting for someone to get hit by a car in baseball, thinking I fractured my toe in Taekwondo, and then getting hospitalized the very next week. Whether it's getting stitches in basketball, or you guys already know about those concussions I suffered in football, the world will always remind me, Will Bryant, you are no athlete. Hell, I pulled my groin during yoga. I've bruised my spine on a foam roller. And I've even told you guys about the time I pulled my back with a sneeze. Hell, I'm not even good at fantasy sports. I've ran a league for 15 years. You know how long it's been since I won my own league? 15 years. I've never won. Still do it every year. There's not one athletic thing, not one sports-related thing that I'm good at. It's just the way it is. It's just the way it is. It's all good, though. It's all good. Because at least now, I haven't convinced myself of this lie that I'm actually all right at it. Because you're not. You're not, Will. You're not. But it's all right. Because at least I like telling the stories about it. And now that I know that I suck at all sports, at least I'm able to laugh about it. That's all I've got for you guys this week. I've got to get ready and head to work. Before I do that, I got to remind you guys one more time to be sure and rate and review this podcast on Apple Podcasts. Like it and subscribe. Do the same on Spotify or Google Podcasts or whatever you listen to me on. Go onto YouTube, subscribe to my channel, give it a little like, comment on something. All that stuff makes me feel nice and happy and warm and fuzzy. And don't you really want that for me? I do. It's at I'm Will Bryant on all platforms. That's 3 words, at I'm Will Bryant, Bryant, like Kobe. And this has been Big Kid with Will Bryant, the show where I talk about how unathletic I am and how the world likes to remind me every step of the way. Thanks for listening. I'll be here with Forky next week. But until then,